please put your hands together for Emilie de Rabin?
Almost missed out. Hello. Hello. God, it's a big theatre, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Handy for social distancing, just in case. So if you would like to sit.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good social distancing theatre, it's true. Oh. How is everyone? Good? Yes? Yes? Awesome. All right. Not that there's anything wrong if you're not doing awesome too.
Well, and how are you doing? Because you seem to have just been having an absolute blast the last couple of weeks traveling everywhere.
Yeah, I have. I've been traveling around. I'm with my family, and we've been having a really, really nice time. Yeah.
Which is always good to hear.
Yeah, and explore some more of your beautiful country this coming next couple of days. So excited about that. And a lot of you have given me great recommendations, so thank you for that.
And you're based in Australia, so of course, like getting to come over here is probably a lot rarer because it's such a long travel and things like that. So it must be fun when you do get to make it over this way.
Yeah, I mean, I only just recently rebased back in Australia. So usually I'd be coming from the US, which, yes, is a lot quicker. But I don't know, it's not that bad. It's add on another 5 hours. At that point, it's like 10 hours or 20 hours when I just sleep. I sleep well on airplanes, so.
That is always definitely a benefit.
Yeah, and I don't really mind it because you can't use your phone, well, kind of maybe on some of the international flights, but it's not much you can do. So it's just like, I'm going to actually watch a movie and sleep and have not decent, have some kind of food brought to me that occasionally is decent.
I know. And like you moved to the States when you were 19 and a lot
18.
of people 18.
Yeah.
And a lot of people actually didn't even realize because your American accent is so good. A lot of people didn't even realize that you were Australian up until Lost, I think it was. So was it have you found that yourself that people are kind of like, "Oh my god, you're actually Australian?"
Back in the day, like all those years ago, yeah. I mean, I think that my first job in America and my second job at all was Roswell, and that audition came to me when I was in Australia, but they thought I was in America, which is kind of ironic because my first job was this show called Beastmaster that I did for like a year when I was 17, and oh my god, my accent on that was not very good at all. We had a dialect coach who was Australian on the show, he did a decent American accent, but it wasn't all the time. It was only when you asked him to. So it was just like, I don't know. Anyway, somehow they thought I was American, and I ended up auditioning for that, and then got it, and then that was only meant to be 7 episodes actually too, and then they kept me on. I bribed them.
With your charm.
Yes. You must keep me.
But am I right in saying that your first sort of passion was ballet? Because you trained in ballet and you even got accepted into one of the most prestigious schools out in Australia as well. So was your plan originally that you were going to pursue ballet and then went into acting? So what
100%
changed your mind?
acting was, I don't know, I don't, it was sort of a few different things. I loved ballet, and yeah, I went to the Australian Ballet School. I dropped out of there. It was a 3-year course, and I went for like a year and a bit. And part of it was the longevity. I don't know, like I guess the more mature I had become. Not that I was, very old, but being 16, 17, being like, oh, hang on, I can't do this forever. I love this, but this is not going to be a job. Like, what would I do after, And I don't know, I think a lot of those questions started coming up, and then noticing a lot of the injuries that the people, because the Australian Ballet School's in the same complex as the company, and I would perform with the company if they had child roles, and seeing a lot of the injuries and seeing what the damage is on one's body. It's an athlete, and it's a lot, and it's a lot of hard work. You're not going to end up with a ton of money to fall back on either, that you can just say, oh, I'm not going to work after that. So that was definitely part of it. And I don't know, I think I just had this dream of acting. I loved the acting part of ballet. A lot of it's mime and creating a story. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot and see how it goes.
And it was quite handy for you that you did already have kind of like the contact for Roswell before actually moving there, because there's so many people who do move to Hollywood hoping to make it big, and sometimes it takes years, but did you start filming Roswell within a month? Is that true? Of you moving there? Ish.
Yeah, probably. God, I'm trying to think. This is back in 2000. Yeah, we'll go with that. It was pretty soon, something like that. Might have been a month or two, yeah. Because I wasn't planning on moving either. I was sort of going out for that audition, and because it was pilot season, which pilot season doesn't really exist as much as it used to. Pilot season, if you don't know, is when they cast all the new network shows. But since streaming shows, networks and whatnot have come along over the last, 10 odd years, it's not just that January through sort of April time, or especially February, March, really a lot of things cast. Some, yes, it is heavier for the network shows, but it's sort of all year long now, because all the streaming platforms just kind of have new shows come on whenever. It's not, a seasonal thing as much, but yeah, it's funny how things happen, right?
It is. And speaking of funny how things happen, when I was actually going through your resume, and I was just like, oh, okay, so yeah, she was pregnant in that, and she was pregnant in that, and she was pregnant. There was a theme sort of going on, and
Yeah.
did you realize it as it was happening that you ended up playing like all of these pregnant characters?
What was that?
It was Brick.
Which I wasn't showing, but yeah.
There was
I had a
Brick.
very
There
hard
was
time on this couch.
Yeah.
Like sliding down.
We had that problem yesterday. That's why I'm kind of sitting
like-
like this to try and block myself off.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah, but you might have, what are you doing?
So I've got one leg to.
Oh, see, you could have told me that.
Sorry.
Now that's working. Yeah, what, Brick?
Brick
Lost.
was lost,
What
and
else? There was something else.
there is something else. Hang on.
What? Oh, yeah, duh, Once Upon a Time. And then I was actually really pregnant during that too. Although they hid it. You could so tell.
Yeah, with all those tricks with like the bags and the books and things like that.
It was the coats, and it was like me and Ginny were pregnant at the same time. They were hiding both of our pregnancies. We were just waddling around. It was really funny.
I think it's so when it is a fake bump, is it uncomfortable to wear? Because I can only imagine that when you were on Lost, because you filmed in Hawaii and it was hot, so I
Yeah,
can
that-
only
that-
imagine
that
how
one.
uncomfortable that would have been.
Yeah, that was not much fun, that one, honestly. It was also, yeah, it was pretty gross, to be honest, because it was on a bodysuit.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was a full body suit then.
Well, not a full body,
oh,
you know,
just
like
the-
like a leotard, because I had to have the boob things too, and it was all connected. It's much easier to do it on a one piece than separate bits, and yeah. But it was very hot wearing that when it was really hot and sweaty.
Yeah, and you've said before that when you first read about Lost, that you just had a good feeling about it. What was it that sort of sparked that inside you that you're like, this one?
Well, there was no script for. I don't think anyone. God, maybe one person, maybe Matthew, had a bit more. But most people signed on to this because of just belief, basically. That I flew to Hawaii. I was doing something in Canada, and I flew. God, did I fly straight to Hawaii? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I think I stopped through LA. Kind of blind to what really the show was about. You could tell from they sent us audition scenes. They taped an audition and sent the actual tape back in the day, off from Canada. And yeah, the scenes were really well written, and it was just a really talented group of people that you just put your trust in, I guess. But yeah, I had a feeling as far as when we all got there and we all had our scripts, kind of knew what we were doing. It's just that it was something special. It was a really unique group of people. And then especially, I think the whole cast felt this way. When we at JJ's house, we sat down and got to watch the pilot, which was a 2-parter episodes. And we're just like, oh, wow. We're part of this. This is actually really cool. And I don't feel that way about everything I've done in any way. So, yeah.
It's always nice when that happens. And you were saying there just once everybody finally got the scripts, I I do remember when Lost was coming out, it's like there was just so much secrecy going on about it. And then someone said it in an interview that there was even like scripts that had been printed on red paper to avoid them from being photocopied. Is that so? That's true.
The last, was it just the finale? It might have been just the finale was on like a dark red paper. Which is like, I mean, you can still take photographs of it, I guess. So it didn't completely, not that none of us were trying to leak either. I think it was maybe more for, if it was left somewhere on accident or, a day player who maybe didn't have good ethics where to take it. But yeah, it's also, camera phones weren't really as...
They weren't a thing back then,
I mean,
really.
there were cameras, but no one really used them much because Instagram wasn't... you'd have to really send it to someone specific, to the journalist here,
Go on, take this, quick.
Yeah.
And so your character, she had probably one of the craziest sort of like story arcs sort of going through the whole show. And do you feel that her story was complete, or do you feel like there were some areas that you would have loved to have more of an opportunity to explore?
I feel like that probably with most series, it's hard to, especially with this many characters, to really give everyone's character the full evolution that one might like. I don't know, I think they did a pretty good job with giving Claire her story though. I mean, I would have maybe liked to know a little bit more about her past. But again, with that many characters, I think they spaced out everyone's time pretty well.
Yeah, and you actually got to play a slightly different version of Claire as well. And I remember reading that you had said that you were like, oh, it was just so much fun to play crazy Claire. Like, when you are like preparing for that, like, are you still treating it as the Claire that you know, or are you treating it as almost like a different character?
A bit of both, because she'd evolved into a different person from what she'd been through. It's like sort of PTSD. It's once you go through something very traumatic or many events that are traumatic, you aren't the same person. There is still that existing human and memories and whatnot there, but you're not the same. So yeah.
Did you get any? I'll try that again. What time is it now? Did you get to keep any souvenirs from the set? Either from Lost or maybe Once Upon a Time.
Definitely did not want to keep that belly. That would get rid of that bloody thing. Oh God,
burn it with fire.
Oh, I wanted to keep Squirrel Baby, and then
you didn't get to.
Damon kept it. I was like, I guess that was a pretty big ask. I don't know. I think like a few like random little water bottles, maybe stuff like that, but not really. Once upon a time, I did. I learned my lesson. Also, more appetizing things to keep from, I've got my gold wedding dress from there, or yellow, the bigger one, not the golder one, the wedding one.
The big one, yeah.
A teacup, of course, a chipped one. I'm sliding down again. One of her wedding rings, because there's two, a lot. I didn't keep like the only cup or the only ring, There's multiples in case we smash them or they get lost or whatever. So I have a ring, I have the cup, I have the dress, some of her jewellery. I think that it was the jewellery that was worn with the dress, though, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
You actually got to keep quite a few bits and bobs.
Yeah,
nice.
and they're really special things. So.
Fab. Yeah. And so was it between Lost and starting on Once Upon a Time, that's when you filmed, was it Remember Me with Robert Pattinson?
Yeah, but it was... Claire had a planned hiatus, season 5 of Lost. And so basically I was on a holding deal. Like I wasn't, they pay you to not go on another show, but I was allowed to do films, yeah. So I did a few indies and I did Remember Me.
And what was it like working with him? Because of course now everyone's sort of seeing him in this new light now that he has, done the Batman, and everyone's just he's left Edward long behind kind of thing. So are you like delighted to see that people are now kind of like seeing him as not more than just the Twilight actor?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, 100% for him, because he's such a lovely human, and so talented, which everyone has now seen. But yeah, I mean that was a big struggle for him being, that was your identity.
Yeah.
Is this vampire guy. I'm like, no, he's so good. Anyway, it was a bit of a struggle with that because that was right. We filmed that right after the first one. Well, not like right after the first one was released, but it was very big. Twilight, I mean, and Lost was in its sort of hyped up time, and yeah, there's a lot of people watching us film these scenes that are just us walking and talking, that are sort of intimate scenes on the street. It ended up feeling a bit like theatre. It was odd because you couldn't block off Manhattan. It's like
You had to sort of get used to the eyes being on you, not just the extras pretending not to be looking at you kind of thing. It was just everybody else was watching as well. Crazy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, now, Belle, when you got the script, were you kind of like, okay, because is it true that you weren't a big Disney fan beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I wasn't a fan. I just had never... So as a child, I didn't watch them. It's not that I watched the Disney films and didn't like them. And I don't really know why. I was just more drawn to real life. Or no, I shouldn't say that. Real life as opposed to animation, not real life stories necessarily.
So live action.
There you go.
It's okay, I got you back.
Oh, God. So Mary Poppins and Pollyanna and Sound of Music and real live action. I did watch Aladdin though when I was little because that came out when I was, I don't know, whatever, a kid. But, so yeah, I had not watched Beauty and the Beast. And I didn't watch it before I asked the guys, Adam and Eddie, I asked them if they wanted me to watch it prior to, and they wanted me to put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
So I actually purposely didn't watch it before I did Skin Deep. I did watch it after that though, because
Because I was going to say, because the Belle that we're introduced to at first is so much of a big departure from, shall we say, like the animated version, because of course the live action version hadn't even come out at that point. And it's like, I think, it probably was a benefit to you not having seen it because you weren't really playing the traditional Belle at that point anyways.
Right, that's not what they wanted. Look, if they came to me and said, look, we want you to, cut and paste this animated character, I'd be like, okay, I'll go and study that, But that wasn't what they were trying to do with anyone on the show, for that matter, not just me. They wanted everyone to keep their accents. They wanted everyone to bring their own thoughts and ideas to the characters. So, yeah.
And did you know when you signed on, because I know in the first season, you were more kind of like a guest star, like a couple of episodes, but then you were promoted to series regular for season 2. So did you know that was coming, or was it still kind of up in the air?
No, it was going to be just the one episode, actually. The first one was just like, hey, do you want to do an episode on our show with Robert Carlyle, who I was a big fan of his work, and Adam and Eddie, who, as you probably know, wrote a lot of episodes of Lost. So I was like, yeah, of course, that sounds great, sounds fun, whatever, little quick job. And then I know Robert really liked what we had, the producers really liked what we had, so yeah, came back for a couple more. Then I went off and did a pilot in New York, actually, with like Ashley Greene and Anthony LaPaglia for ABC, the same network, that did not get picked up. And so when that didn't get picked up, ABC was like, all right, we want you to come on as a regular on that. So, yeah.
And thank God that they did, because I think one of the highlights from a lot of the episodes was your chemistry with Robert Carlyle, and he is such a phenomenal actor. It was one of those roles where I think people were actually surprised that he was doing something so, I don't want to say wholesome, considering the way that Mr. Gold and Rumpelstiltskin was.
No,
but you know what I mean?
yeah.
It was still, it was a departure from what people had seen him in, like say, like for Train Spotting and things like that. So what was it like working with him on such a lovely production?
I mean, whenever you're lucky enough to work with someone that you get along with really well, who is very talented and who actually cares about the entirety of the scene and the relationship, as opposed to just it's all about me kind of thing. It's great, you lift each other up and you help each other, and that's what we had, and that's why it worked. And good writing and us making little changes here and there to sort of make it more organic, and that's when you really do see, and at least what I think, when you see whatever, whether it's a romantic relationship or a family relationship or a friendship, that just really shines on screen, it's because of all these little elements. It's not just because, they get along, or just because it's good writing or good directing. It's sort of got to be a little bit of everything for it to just be sort of magical. Yeah.
Magical, I think, is a great word to describe it, because for a show like that, you do want something just to have that little bit of a twinkle sort of thing.
Yeah, it kind of has to, right? Otherwise it falls flat,
Exactly. And you had actually 2 Irish co-stars at one point, so I know you probably didn't get to meet Jamie Dornan when he was on the series, or did you?
Early on, yeah, because he popped back in, but yeah. And then Victoria and
Victoria,
Colin.
yes.
Yeah, so
Victoria,
3.
three, actually,
Yeah.
yes.
And maybe more, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yes, Victoria Smurfit playing Cruella.
Gosh, she was so
And then we, of course, had Colin Donoghue as Hook. Did Victoria or Colin ever try and teach you any Irishisms on the set? You're smiling.
Oh, it was more a little bit, but more from, Bobby would make fun of me because I'd always try and do. He's got a very strong, not on the show as much, but just when he's like chatting, such a strong Scottish accent. So I'd try and mimic him, but I think I sounded more Indian half the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember...
He likes some words that I won't repeat here too, that are quite popular in Scotland.
I was going to say, yes, between the Scottish and the Irish humour, you were probably just like, what's going on?
A little bit R-rated. Yeah.
And with Belle's storyline, it did come to what we'll say is a lovely but slightly sad sort of ending. Were you happy with the way that they did it in the end?
Yeah, for how many minutes, 42 minutes, right? When you look at that episode, and that I hadn't been in, most of us hadn't been in really that season much. I think I'd popped in once or twice before in season 7. For them to do what they did, and it wasn't even all us for those 42 minutes or whatever, so say 30 minutes of viewing, they really, I think, gave it a beautiful, beautiful arc and beautiful end, and I can't think of another way that it could have been left in a better way. I think it was really nice and sweet and, full circle, but sad.
Yeah. I thought it was a very poignant moment for them, for sure. So on that note, we're going to open it up to the floor. We've got 2 microphones set up at the middle here. So if anybody would like to ask a question, you can head over to the microphone. Don't be shy. She's very lovely.
Until now.
Go on, lads. Yay, there we go. It only takes one to break the ice.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I was just wondering, so Brick came out in around 2005 or 6, which would have been season 2 or 3 of Lost, which is when it's at its absolute probably peak in terms of fandom and stuff. So within the sort of the loss of it all, was there anyone did any Brick fans, or was there any kind of Brick fandom coming in, or did it just get completely overshadowed by Lost at the time?
Well, I shot Brick before I shot Lost. And I'm pretty sure it went to Sundance premiered in, was it January 2005, which was just after I'd started Lost. So Lost was sort of only just starting to really, but yeah, Brick's always had I love that film. Ryan's so talented, and just that was a special story, special cast. That's got such a cult following, and it sort of started off that way too. It was one of those little. It was one of the favourites that year at Sundance, and
No, yeah, great movie.
yeah, it was cool. Thanks.
Nice. No, thank you, big fan.
Thank you.
All right, so because we're the 2, we're going to try and alternate between. So we'll go this side here.
Hello.
Hi. I was wondering, in Once Upon a Time, what's your favourite storyline and story arc?
I'm sorry. What?
Sorry, in Once Upon a Time, what was your storyline and story arc?
Your favourite one.
It's a tricky question.
You had some really good ones.
I like just her. I like her story of her past the most. If you put together all of the fairy tale land, I really enjoyed learning about her with her mother and the ogres, and that's one thing I would have liked to have had a little bit more of, honestly. But yeah, that was really special, and I really liked in general just the Neverland story arc. That season was cool. Thank you.
Awesome. So back over this side.
Hello.
Hello there. This would be a question for. Give me a sec. It's like, what would be your favorite dress that Belle wore throughout the whole seasons? What was your favorite dress?
She had some really nice storybook stuff too. But because I'm a fan of all the other stuff, and Eduardo Castro, our costume designer, is like amazing. We were very lucky. The show would not have been the same without him. Anyway, having said that, I still think maybe, I mean, I love the dress I have, the wedding one, but I still think the first dress, the gold dress I wore in the first episode, and other subsequent ones, but yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Because it is so iconic as well, and they did a really good adaptation of it as well.
They did. It was just so, it wasn't like over embellished. It just fit perfectly, and it was just perfect. Yeah.
Very nice. Next question.
Hello.
Hi.
In Once Upon a Time, if you didn't play Belle, what other character would you have liked to play?
Well, two parts. So Rumpelstiltskin's my favorite character on the show,
Fair.
but Cruella.
Oh.
She's just, there's nothing redeeming about her. She's just pure evil, and I don't know,
Yeah.
that's fun. But Victoria did probably a far better job than I would do. She was spot on.
Yeah.
And she's a lovely, lovely, lovely human, ironically. Like the nicest. So.
It's always the nicest people who play the best villains.
Right? Get it all out.
Exactly.
Done being nice.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, back over this side.
Hi.
Hello.
Why do you feel like playing a more feminist version of the character we see? Like when Belle goes out on her own to find something for Rumpel and all that, and she goes like, no, I don't care what you say, I'm going on my own and stuff. What did it feel like playing a princess more rebel that we may see with like Aurora, for example?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. It's very important to me, and it was when we were filming it. I would have liked to have made her even more so, but, you know, there are parameters and, you know, couldn't completely do what I wanted. I mean, I guess I could have, might not have been around long on the show, though. So it was good. It's nice, you know, because Belle, in my opinion, in the, you know, animated version of the story, not a book or whatever, the Disney animated version of the story, I mean, you can tell she's a smart, strong young woman, but her actions are not so at all, in any way, shape or form. So it was refreshing, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Back over here.
Hello.
Hello.
You said when Adam and Eddie offered you the role for Belle that you didn't have to think about it and accepted it right away. What was the one script or role you actually had to think about the longest?
Before saying I'd do it or not. Well, there's for different reasons. Like there's maybe conflicts with schedules that I had to think about. That's a little different because that's more of a technicality. But probably the Hills Have Eyes, because I generally am the one who says the originals are always the best, and why mess with something and keep redoing it. Just do something original, for God's sake. You know, we've got so many remakes of things, which is whatever, it's fine. And just, you know, I thought it was done well. But when I actually went and met and sat down with Alexandra, who directed it, he had such an interesting, cool spin on it, which I think did shine through and came through in the final product, that I thought, yeah, no, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
And The Hills Have Eyes is actually one of those rare remakes that people have actually taken to as well. So you
Yeah, that
definitely
it's
chose
not
well.
like, oh, it's a remake and it's like, Yeah, he changed it up without changing or destroying the story. He just made it really, I don't know, more of an indie spin on it too. He didn't try and make it too studio, blockbustery.
He made the film that he wanted to make.
Yeah. He was good. Talented man.
Next question.
Hello.
Hi. As I'm a feminist myself, I keep changing my questions in my head. what if there's one thing you could change for women? What would it be? Like immediately, like not fighting. Like we wouldn't have to fight for it actually, but just change something.
Oh, how long have you got?
I have all day.
I mean, no, there's my opinion, which everyone's entitled to their own, as am I. Free legal abortion worldwide with no opinion. It's no one else's choice. It's my choice, your choice. Free birth control. Free, what's the best word? Sanitary products should be everywhere. Some schools have, pads and tampons. They should be everywhere, or period underwear, whatever. Accessibility to things and, take the, I don't know, it's not something that's like, oh, we shouldn't talk about it, we should be embarrassed by it. It's like your body, it's literally what your body's meant to do, and it's your choice, and I don't know, more conversations, open it up. It's not something that girls should be embarrassed by or boys should be embarrassed by, it's just, let's be humans and help each other and respect each other and be kind to each other, which I think all of that would help.
So much blood on TV, and then you see a tampon and you go, ugh.
Yeah, and you're meant to be embarrassed about going to buy like a pregnancy test or a tampon or a condom, but yeah, exactly. You can turn on the TV and watch somebody rip someone's head off. That's cool. Like, what? What's happened?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, hon.
I think we have one more over here.
Hello.
Sorry, hello. Hope you're enjoying your weekend.
I am. I hope you are too.
Hope having a great time in Dublin. I just
Thank
want
you.
to say there's been some new documentaries made about Roswell over the last few years in America as well. So I'm just wondering if you had any kind of thoughts or ideas you'd like to change about the roles you played in Roswell and how the Roswell series panned out back in the early noughties at the time, please.
Like any changes that I would have made? Oh, God. It's so long ago.
Yeah.
My memory's going. I'm getting old.
There's been new documentaries in America about literally the last 3 or 4 years, as I said, just new documentaries coming out about the whole issue as well, just be more information being exposed, so.
Yeah,
Any
I-
ideas in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, I have not watched them all. I'm very interested in the subject, though, and I did a big road trip last year, and we went to Roswell for the first time, and, it's a very interesting subject, and I don't know. I'm glad that they're making more documentaries about it, and hopefully we can learn a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you. Back over here.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing grand. I just wanted to know for Belle and Once Upon a Time, was there any story ideas that maybe you would have had, or any story ideas that maybe they had that didn't go with the show?
I mean, I haven't really thought too much as far as a big different through line, but I would have liked to see Belle have, as much as I loved working with Robert, like, God, if I had to work with somebody all the time, like I did, thank God it was him. But, just more friendships and learning more about Belle away from him. Because, you're different around different people. Just not in a pretending to be different, but just, you're different when you hang out with your mum. You'd learn more about you'd learn different things about me, say, hanging out with you, having a coffee, than me hanging out with you, or me hanging out with, my mother, so maybe her interacting a bit more with people in Storybrooke would have been nice to give a different spin and get into her psyche in that way. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we've got somebody back over here.
Yeah, but he goes first.
Okay.
No problem.
Hello.
Hello. So something I'm really interested in hearing about from actors is like how they prep for a shoot day and everything like that. So did you have any exercises or rituals to like get into the heads of Claire or Belle or anything like that?
No, that's a really good question. I really just try, and it sounds so simple, I suppose, but I really just try and let my mind go into what they would be doing maybe, and just sort of try and think about things from their perspective, but not in a completely role playing or when I'm not at work in any in any way. Once I've learned the lines of, like actually learning what I need to say, that's the biggest help to me. I get that out of the way. Which usually, if it's good writing, I can learn stuff really quickly. If it's bad writing, it takes a long time. It's really interesting. If it's if it's a good flow and it's like words that make sense, then it's great. And so once that's learned, then I can just sort of think about the character and get in it that way.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You. There.
Okay.
Hello.
You might know that I love that movie. So, what was your favorite part of film about Submarine Kid?
Favorite part to film. The water stuff was probably the most fun, and it was the most. I was scared of it the most too.
I actually had that question also because it must have been quite hard to film underwater, no?
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm like I love water, but I'm not good at opening my eyes underwater. And then with makeup on, and it's cold, and I'm like, oh.
Such beautiful shots, though.
Yeah, they are, and I think it's a good thing to remember too, just in life, for me, and maybe for other people. A lot of the things that might scare you the most might end up being the most fun, or the most enlightening, or the most life-changing. Not always necessarily, but yeah.
I'm assuming they filmed that in one of those special tanks that they do some like underwater shots, or did they film it out in open water?
Well, the lake stuff was in the lake.
Oh, so it was actually in the lake itself, not just in like a studio vat sort of thing. Wow.
No. And the pool. God, the pool wasn't. Pretty sure the pool was just a pool. Yeah.
Very
It wasn't a big budget. We didn't have a budget for doing, like massive tank stuff. That stuff's expensive. It's cool. I mean, I think that was the only day they actually shot. They shot one day, I think only, or maybe two, of Lost in California. They did a tank day or something. Everything else was Hawaii, but yeah, that was a big thing. They're like, going to the tank. Thank you.
Thank you. So you all check out Submarine Kid, huh?
Yes, you must all, yes.
Back over here.
Hi again.
Hi.
Obviously, Rumpel is Belle's soulmate and Belle is Rumpel's soulmate. But if you had the chance to have Belle with another character, who would it have been?
No idea. What do you think?
Hook. 100%.
With Hook? Yeah, I mean, she doesn't know half of them, apparently. She doesn't hang out with anyone, so I suppose they did get to hang out a bit. That gives them an upside. At least they know each other's names.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Time for one more question.
My question is, what's your favorite project that you've worked on, and what character have you played that you found you could relate to the most and you felt was kind of very relatable to you in general?
Good question. Favorite project? I mean, I have a lot, but it's always, I don't know, Remember Me for many reasons but I loved Lost. I loved Once Upon a Time. I loved working on Brick. It's not like I've been lucky that I've had mostly, not all of them, but mostly really positive experiences working. As far as a character, I don't know. I mean, there's little bits of Claire, there's little bits of Belle, there's little bits of Allie. There's not one specifically that I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly like, me, or exactly like something that happened to me. You're always going to bring part of yourself into what you play to a degree, depending on how vastly different the character is. But I also try and play characters that are not just me saying words. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, you're welcome, thanks.
Thank you. And unfortunately, that's all we have time for. But on behalf of everyone here, I hope everyone give her a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, Emilie de Rabin.
Thank you, and thank you guys for such great questions. Like really, really thought-provoking ones. I appreciate it. And yeah, enjoy the day.
Awesome. And enjoy the rest of your stay here in Ireland as well.
Thank you. And I'll be out there, so come say hi.
Thanks, guys. Bye.